Seattle, October 1934. Fog rolls across the airfield, swallowing the hulking shape parked beneath the arc lights. Boeing's Model 299. Four engines, gleaming, ready for the future. Above the crowd of skeptical engineers, the first real heavy bomber in American history broods with promise and risk. They call it a flying fortress, a nickname born the moment a reporter marvels at the fortress-like array of guns and power. Inside the hangar, blueprints are curled and coffee cold. Requirements are daunting. 1,000-mile range, 2,000 if possible, more than 2 tons of bombs, a minimum speed that matches fighters, and a ceiling that reaches for the stratosphere. On paper, they want the impossible. Boeing's team, Gifford Emery, Edward Curtis Wells, and a handful of upstart minds, answer the call. The Model 299 isn't built from scratch. It steals from the XP-15 bomber and the Boeing 247 airliner, mixing speed, strength, and ambition. A new standard for power, 5 machine guns, retractable gear, an internal bomb bay, a frame that can shrug off punishment. None of the Army competitors believe it will work. The day of the first flight. Les Tower grips the yoke, his heart thudding harder than any engine. The giant lifts, smooth as silk, impossibly graceful. 9 hours non-stop to right field. 2,100 miles. Seattle to Ohio, faster than anyone dreamed. The Model 299 lands and the legend begins. But then tragedy, a crash, a flight ended by a forgotten checklist. The Army pulls back. Budget cuts, doubts, and familiar comfort threaten to kill Boeing's vision. In the darkness of the Depression, hope flickers. Yet the impossible survives. A loophole in procurement means 13 B-17’s are ordered for service tests. By 1937, operational evaluation begins at Langley Field, and with it, the first inklings of a revolution. Every test reveals new flaws. Superchargers stall, brakes overheat, engines fail. Public relations campaigns prop up the myth the Army tries to believe. 1938, the Y-1 B-17 improves further. Turbo superchargers relocate under the engine nacelle to solve airflow problems. Altitude soars by 7,000 feet. Top speed climbs. Gunners rejoice. Every knee-jerk, field fix breeds the next model. By 1939, the B-17 isn't just real. It is better, higher, faster, stronger, and the Army commits to mass production. Evolution under fire. The timeline gallops forward. War's shadow falls on Europe. New demands push the B-17 into relentless adaptation. The B-series progresses, each variant learning from scars. B-7B gets new rudders and flaps. B-7C adds bigger defensive blisters, more guns. B-7E is a leap, a huge tail fin, powered turrets, ball turret beneath. Over 500 built, each more survivable than the last. Alongside speed and payload, new challenges, how to survive the Luftwaffe, how to bomb by day, how to bring men home. Boeing's teams huddle in makeshift labs. Ballistics, armor, firepower, all solutions are tried, many are rejected. By summer 1942, Boeing rolls out the B-17F. 2,405 built, their new nose and improved engines setting the standard for battle-ready. The G model, the most numerous, the most powerful, becomes the backbone. 8,680 built. The Bendix chin turret, the spearhead against head-on attacks. Every change is hard-won against death. Every dent is a lesson. Defensive armament grows, bomb loads jump, the frame beefs up and stretches its range as tactics and necessity demand. Entering the fray, England, 1942. American aircrews join the RAF for daylight raids, the fortress promising a new era of strategic bombing. 8 machines lost early on, teething pains, bitter lessons. The B-17 survives, adapts, fights for its reputation amid fire, flak, and doubt. From bases in East Anglia, the 8th Air Force launches waves of B-17s over Germany. Schweinfurt, Regensburg, Berlin, every name becomes legendary, every mission a crucible for crew and machine. Over time, the Flying Fortress earns a reputation for coming home shot full of holes, but alive. Squadrons nickname their planes: Memphis Belle, Hell's Angels, 909, Shoo Shoo Baby. Each nose art a badge of faith, every patch of aluminum a testament to ingenuity and hope. Gunners trade stories in tents about how the fortress shrugs off blows that would doom any other bomber. The B-17 becomes a talisman. Engineers tell of one wing, gunners of 3 engines, pilots of impossible landings. Tactics, heroes, and hard truths. New doctrines rise: combat box formations, precision bombing, tight mutual defense. Tail gunners, ball turret gunners, waist and nose, every crew a single nerve. At 30,000 feet, oxygen masks rime with ice. Hands freeze, hearts pound, flak bursts, and fighters close in. Crews develop rituals, lucky coins, prayers, records played before takeoff. Every brief is a matter of survival. Some men live 70 missions, most do not. Real stories cascade. The B-17 that limped back over the channel with the tail nearly severed. The gunner who survived a ball turret freezing over. The fortress that bombed Cologne on 3 engines, landed safe with wounded aboard. Quotes echo, "She just keeps flying. If we make it back, it's because we're in her." Late 1942. RAF bases in East Anglia wake to the rumble of engines and the tension of the new. The USAF's first B-17s have arrived, olive green giants settling into the cold English dawn. Crews arrive wide-eyed from Iowa, Boston, Louisiana, thrust into a world of blackout curtains, rationed tea, and the promise of a war that will be fought in the clouds. American generals promise daylight precision. For the first time, fleets of bombers will strike targets by day, not night, hunting factories, rails, oil, the heart of the Third Reich. Older RAF officers are doubtful. "You'll never get through the flak," they mutter. Still, the effort begins. The first missions are a study in ordeal. July 1942. 12 B-17s, escorted by Spitfires, sweep across the channel to Rouen. Railroad yards erupt in flames. Bombs fall within the target area. Newsreels trumpet success. But quickly, reality bites back. In the coming weeks, bombers tangle with swarms of Luftwaffe fighters. Over Wilhelmshaven, Kiel, Bremen, unescorted B-17s brave anti-aircraft barrages and raking passes by FW-190s and BF-109s. Crews huddle in freezing fuselages, armor-piercing shells tearing through wings, engines bucking and smoking. Heroism becomes routine. The fortress built its legend by returning home Swiss-cheesed but stubborn, dragging pilots and gunners out of hopeless odds. Dozens of missions end with B-17s limping into base, one engine dead, a landing gear stuck, a gunner wounded but alive. The enemy adapts. Fighters swarm from above and head-on, and loss rates skyrocket. Black Week of October 1943 sees 176 bombers lost. Schweinfurt, the ball-bearing heart of German industry, is bombed, but at a cost so great that even the high command wavers. 59 out of nearly 300 bombers are shot down in one day. A tour of duty is 25 missions, most never make it. But technology evolves alongside tactics. By 1944, the combat box formation becomes doctrine. Fortresses fly stacked in layers, every gun covering another, filling the air with 50 caliber fire. A fortress in the sky, truly. Still, survival depends on more than steel. Lucky charms, crew rituals, and dogged comradeship become talismans. Every crew has its story. The ball turret gunner who came home on his belly after a belly landing smashed the plexiglass dome. The pilot who landed on 3 engines in a French pasture. The radio man who patched a severed control line with his flight suit drawstring. Escorts arrive. P-47s at first, and finally the long-range P-51 Mustang. Suddenly, the odds shift. Fighters slash through the Luftwaffe, slashing loss rates, giving bombers a fighting chance. By late 1944, the B-17s thunder toward Berlin, targets once thought unreachable, dropping bomb loads with the Norden bomb site. Technology once so secret the operator would destroy it if the fortress fell. The bombers wreck bridges, oil depots, tank factories. The cost is terrible. 5,000 flying fortresses lost in the 8th Air Force alone. Tens of thousands of airmen do not return. But slowly, surely, the persistent hammer blows wear down Germany's war machine. Quotes fill the air. "If you're coming home in a B-17, you believe fate has a seat next to you. I sent her up praying she'd bring my son back." Legendary planes, legendary men. Each B-17 becomes an icon. The Memphis Belle, first to complete 25 missions and return safely to the States. Hell's Angels, Shoo Shoo Baby, 909. Each wears its story and artwork, shrapnel scars, the tally of missions chalked beneath the cockpit. Crews cycle in and out. Some survive a tour, some don't. But every plane feels haunted by the voices of those who lived and died within its ribs. Stories echo from the Bloody 100th, the 100th bomb group which suffers loss after loss, earning a name both feared and revered. John Egan, Cowboy, leads by example, despite watching the sky eat too many friends. In the air and on the ground, the fortress binds crews into a brotherhood. At night, crews drink, laugh, and weep together, faces gaunt, hands trembling from cold and awe. Letters go home, truth bent to spare mothers the horror. Today your son flew to Bremen, tomorrow to Berlin. He'll write when he can. B-17 around the world. The Fortress also flies in other theaters, over North Africa, Italy, and the Pacific. In China, precarious runways and mountains test both pilot and machine. In the Pacific, the B-17 strikes Japanese shipping, airfields, fortresses on island after island. Not the numbers nor the losses seen in Europe, but the reputation for toughness endures. After the war, many B-17s are scrapped, but some survive, restored, living monuments to the courage of ordinary men and stubborn engineering. By 1945, the B-17 is outnumbered by the faster, newer B-24s and the enormous B-29s. And yet, no other bomber will be loved or feared the way the Flying Fortress is, not for its size or speed, but for its character, resilience, legacy. The cost, the culture, the comeback. Spring 1944. The Americans and RAF press the attack. Fortresses roar over the channel, flak-streaked skies and burning cities below. Damage mounts, engines lost, holes patched with whatever crews can salvage overnight. By now, the B-17's resilience borders on myth. Crews form rituals. On cold mornings, they touch the metal for luck, tie scarves or paint nose art for spirit and memory. Music floats in the briefing tents. Glenn Miller, Bing Crosby, heartbreak and hope in every tune. But the price is horrendous. Over Germany, ball turret gunners hang between life and loss. Fighters carve through the formations. Even as mission counts rise, loss rates remain brutal. The bloody 100th, the 100th bomb group, becomes emblematic of sacrifice, sometimes returning with just a handful of survivors, their stories stitched into Air Force legend. Survival means everything. Mid-air collisions, engine fires, forced landings in hostile territory. Airmen bail out over fields, forests, even enemy cities. Some are captured, some evaded and join the resistance. When a B-17 returns with engines trailing smoke and wings riddled, ground crews gather for stories and silent thanks. A symbol for all soldiers. The B-17 becomes more than metal or mission. It's a tangible link. Fathers write home about her. Sons imagine flying her. Pilots and gunners carried home fragments as keepsakes, pieces of plexiglass, spent cartridges, battered mission logs. Back at base, the mess hall buzzes. Stories are swapped, wounds shown, and sometimes tears shed. Some crews complete their 25 missions and go home. Others arrive and vanish within weeks. In hangars, mechanics work miracles. Patch panels, engine swaps, whatever keeps fortresses in the air. From simple field fixes to whole new assemblies, the aircraft endures where others fail or fade. If one couldn't be saved, its nose art might be lifted to a new airframe, the memory of lost friends living on in paint. Beyond Europe, a global story. The Fortress's role grows. B-17s fly in North Africa, Italy, the Pacific Theater. They strike at Japanese shipping, disrupt airfields, and serve as the backbone for a global struggle. The B-17's range, durability, and adaptability make her a favorite, even as B-24s and later B-29s come to outnumber her. Rugged runways, tropical humidity, mountain passes. The B-17 soldiers through, a workhorse with a reputation that stretches from Alaska to Cairo, from Brisbane to Saipan. In the Pacific, air-sea rescue variants save downed crews. Some B-17s become VIP transports, others photo reconnaissance ships. Japanese fighter attacks and monsoon rains are just new challenges the Fortress faces down. The final missions, the legacy forged April 1945. The last Fortress missions fly, bombs dropped on Germany's final strongholds, the cost now measured in years of sacrifice and millions of tons of destruction. Peace arrives. Survivors cheer, mourn, remember. B-17s that carried men into battle now carry them home, battered but unbroken. Post-war, monuments and memories. After victory, most B-17s are flown to desert boneyards or scrapped, their war over. Of 12,731 built, 4,735 lost in service. Hundreds converted for air-sea rescue, VIP transport, and civil use. A few survive as crop dusters, firebombers, or film props. In museums today, a handful of real combat veterans remain. Memphis Belle, 909, Sally B., and others stand as monuments, their aluminum skins gleaming, their scars silent testimony to bravery. Veterans walk the line at air shows, tracing initials in dusty plexiglass, sharing memory, sorrow, and pride. The B-17's legacy is not speed or payload, but loyalty, an unlikely bomber that taught the world what endurance meant. Iconic missions, unlikely survivors. From the summer of 1942 until war's end, the B-17 becomes a fixture in the skies above embattled Europe, a symbol both of invincibility and the terrible odds. More bombs are dropped by B-17s than any other Allied plane, over 640,000 tons. Rouen, 1942. The first USAAF B-17s cross the Channel, striking railway yards. Bombs fall in daylight, escorted by Spitfires. The press hails the beginning of America's precision bombing campaign. The Luftwaffe learns American bombers are no easy prey. Schweinfurt-Regensburg, 1943. In a concerted effort to cripple Nazi ball-bearing production, a vital industry for tanks and aircraft, hundreds of B-17s roar toward deep Germany. They are met by a wall of fighters and flak. Black Thursday on October 4, 1943. Losses are catastrophic. Nearly 60 bombers shot down, dozens damaged, hundreds of airmen gone. Crews come home gutted, but convinced that the tides may change if they hold out. Berlin, 1944. The unthinkable is ordered. Missions over the capital of the Third Reich. B-17s slice ice-cold blue at 25,000 feet, navigating a cauldron of anti-air fire and elusive enemy fighters. The attacks wear down Germany's infrastructure, but the cost is glaringly high. Big Week, February 1944. A coordinated assault, Operation Argument, leaves the skies crowded. 3,500 B-17 sorties target German aircraft factories. Escorting P-51 Mustangs begin to turn the tide, giving bombers a fighting chance. German fighter losses spike, and for the first time, daylight missions become survivable. The Memphis Belle, a symbol of hope. This B-17 is among the first to finish the deadly tour of 25 missions over Europe, returning, battered but intact. It tours the U.S., raising morale and cementing the legend. The Queen of the Skies, some B-17s, like 909, go further still, completing over 100 missions, boasting legendary maintenance and fate-tempting luck, returning with stories etched in aluminum and shrapnel. Innovation in the turmoil. Each harrowing mission brings new tactics and technology. Crews rely on the Norden bomb sight, its gyro-stabilized optics promising pinpoint bombing, its secrecy paramount, bombardiers ordered to destroy it if capture is imminent. Fortress formations fly ever tighter, turning massive fleets into moving gunships. Defensive firepower, tail, ball, top, and chin turrets creates a lethal cone of fire. Survival is a team effort, drilled endlessly in stateside training and chaos tested at 30 below zero. In the Pacific, B-17s operate differently, raiding Japanese shipping, fighting tropical rot, and limited fuel. Losses are mercifully lighter, but the machine's toughness becomes a watchword even on the far side of the globe. Later, a few B-17s are even converted into remote-controlled flying bombs under Operation Aphrodite, a desperate, dangerous experiment near war's end. Stories that endure. Inside each battered bomber, 10 men live a lifetime in hours. Pilot, co-pilot, navigator, bombardier, engineer, radio operator, gunners. Crews pull fate's ticket each flight. Some have mascots, rabbit feet, lucky candies. Some write last letters before every mission. Survival means skill, nerve, and luck. Every group, every squadron has its legends. The Bloody Hundredth survives with a reputation for uncanny loss and incredible courage. The 91st and 96th bomb groups finish their tours with pride and remembrance. Crews honor the ghosts, wounded men carried out of burned-out bombers, final landings on blood-slick airstrips. Painful absences linger after the war. Doc killed by flak, best friends missing after a mission, a tail gunner's empty chair in the mess. The B-17 survivors never forget, and the world never forgets them. The last bombs fall, and the world tries to heal. A line of B-17s rumbles over liberated Europe, ferrying POWs and journalists, flying low over fields they once helped free. The flying fortress that once filled the skies now faces a new fate. Some become rescue planes, others crop dusters or civilian transports. Most, their war done, are parked under the desert sun, stripped for parts and left to fade into history. Yet legend is not so easily erased. Of the 12,731 B-17s built, fewer than 50 remain intact today. Museums, air shows, and memorials scattered across continents for new generations to marvel and remember. Some, like Memphis Belle, are restored, revered, and retold in movies and books as symbols of a generation's courage. Metal is patched, wings are polished, paintwork lovingly restored. Veterans and families gather at Duxford, at Dayton, at Palm Springs, tracing names on aluminum, telling stories beneath the shadow of the droning engines. Children stare skyward as a B-17 flies past, four engines roaring, the spirit of 1943 alive again for a shimmering moment. Living memory. In museum galleries, wartime pictures hang beside the silent giants, their gaping bomb bays now open not for destruction, but for learning. Volunteer mechanics and pilots keep a handful of B-17s flying. Documentary crews record the rumble of takeoff, the nervous laughter of aging airmen back in turret seats for one more flight. Restored B-17s cross America on Wings of Freedom tours, a living classroom and cathedral. Names Sentimental Journey, Sally B, Aluminum Overcast echo the nose art and mission logs of 75 years before. Crowds gather, men in wheelchairs point and remember. Old wounds and old victories are honored not with medals, but with tears and pride, a symbol that endures. Today, the B-17 is more than just a relic. It is a monument to ingenuity, resilience, and the will to survive. It is a place where fathers and sons, mothers and daughters can touch a past once thought lost. Its silhouette, blocky, stubborn, unforgettable, reminds us what ordinary courage can become in extraordinary times. The legacy stretches onward. In aviation, where every heavy bomber owes something to the lessons of the B-17. In memory, where stories of survivors and lost crewmates illuminate the cost of victory. In every echoing flyby, where the sky again belongs for a moment to the most unlikely bomber. And still, at every museum, someone lingers under a battered wing, whispering thanks that this unlikely machine, against all odds, brought their grandfather home. Enduring, determined, impossibly brave. The B-17 Flying Fortress,